Canadians reflect on the sacrifices of our military men and women in their own way. Joining us now from our studio at Laurentian University in Sudbury on the efforts of a retired history teacher from North Bay, our Northeast Ontario Hub editor, Claude Sharma. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jan.
Now, you recently interviewed a teacher in North Bay who's helping Ontarians learn about the important part of our country's past, and it's through tours. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Jan. So John Hetherington has been taking people on these tours to Europe over the past 20 years. And what he does is he kind of retraces the steps of soldiers of World War I, World War II. And with these tours, he takes them to historic sites, cemeteries, memorials. And it started off back in 1997 when he was a history teacher at a high school in North Bay. He took a group of grade 12 students. They landed in Amsterdam. They went to Normandy and back, but over the years it has evolved quite a bit. He is now with a travel broker, and he takes groups up to 15 to 55 people, and it's people who are interested in Canadian military history, the World Wars. Also, he has taken veterans, some regiments, and people on pilgrimages. And over these years, he's been the tour guide for about 500 people.
Now, you mentioned pilgrimages. Tell me, what do those entail exactly?
So a pilgrimage is a special journey, a personal connection these people want to make with family members who fought in these wars in Europe. So for the story I did for TVO.org, I spoke to a couple out of Cayuga, the Hansen family, and they went on the most recent pilgrimage with John Hetherington to Europe, to France specifically, where Ed Hansen, the husband, his great uncle was buried, killed and buried, and recently found. So his great uncle, Private John Henry Thomas, was a World War I soldier who fought in the Battle of Hill 70, and only recently were his remains discovered and found 100 years after the fact that he was killed. He had no known grave until now.
Now, this past August, the bodies of 4 Canadian soldiers were laid to rest after being found in France more than 100 years after World War I. How common is this? Is this rare? Does this happen a lot?
Yeah, so it's quite rare, Jan, and one of the soldiers found was, who I just mentioned, Private John Henry Thomas. So the Department of National Defense has a program called the Casualty Identity Program, and kind of what its mandate is to find the 27,000 Canadian war dead who have no known grave. And this started back in 2007. And these are the 27,000 soldiers who fought in World War I, World War II, and the Korean conflict. And since 2007, 29 people, 29 soldiers have been identified, and that includes Private Thomas.
How were they able to match the DNA from Private John Henry Thomas to his family members?
Well, with all these cases, they're quite different. Some World War II veterans can be identified and found through dental records, but Private John Henry Thomas was a World War I veteran, and there are he has census records on file, death notices, kind of that can connect him to the genealogy, the lineage of his family. So, and obviously some of his family members are dead. And in this case, they had to extract DNA from his bone, and the best case for that was getting the DNA from the maternal side. So his mom's daughters, his sister's daughters. And it was traced all the way to his great niece in New Jersey. She took the DNA swab. She was contacted by Veterans Affairs, and after a certain period of time, there was a match. And this is kind of a best case scenario, according to the forensic doctor that I spoke to. She told me that it took about a year to, once he was found, to be identified and to link to a family, when in some cases it could take 6, 7, even 8 years.
Now, you had mentioned that forensic anthropologist. She gave you some advice on exactly, for some family members, if they're looking for anyone who did serve in any of the wars, what should they be doing?
Well, the Department of National Defense doesn't exactly have a DNA lab present at the site. So what they ask is not for people to come in and say, can I give my DNA sample? They ask these people who have a loved one, who have a family member who are Canadian war dead, who haven't been identified yet, to go on the website and go on the DND website, the Casual Identity Program part, and you can register for the Canadian War Debt part, and that's where you give information about the soldier, his full name, your relationship to him, and also give your details as well. And once all those details are in the database, that can help expedite the process of creating that link between the soldier and the family.
Now, I want to go to a story that you had done in the summer, an amazing story about another Ontario man, a retired paratrooper who fought in Afghanistan and is now using his farm just outside of Sudbury to help other vets like him heal. What do we need to know about that, and how has that been going?
Well, Eric Coupel is the man behind this project. It's called the Quartz Ridge Sanctuary, and it's based just outside of Sudbury in Hager, Ontario. And what he is doing is he is trying to create that transition, to ease that transition for those who served, the veterans, back into civilian life, and those who are suffering from PTSD. So once they're at this farm, they get to work with animals, with bees, honey extraction. They get to upkeep the farm itself. And since the article back in the summer, he's taken on some more veterans, and now he takes them on for a day or two at a time. And he's hoping to expand this eventually into a multi-week program once he gets more funding, once he gets more support. He has received $7,000 from local Legion branches, and also to a mall in North Bay that is going under renovations will be donating trusses to him, to his farm, so he can help build a barn, which will help out with the honey extraction process. And keep in mind too, Jan, this is really beneficial for these veterans because it's veterans working with veterans. You know what? They've walked in each other's shoes. They've done this before, so who would know better than them? He says it's healing him. He says it's healing them. And it is indeed a work in progress. And now as he's trying to winterize the farm, he's trying to seek some more of that funding, more of that help. And he plans to extend this program over the next couple of years or so.
An amazing story. Thank you so much, Claude. That's Claude Sharma, our Ontario Hub editor from Northeastern Ontario. Thanks again.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.